I killed you.
I'm looking at my life in the past 8 to 9 months. I'm like, whoa. Like, bro, these songs are soundtracking my life.
What happens when a chart-topping newcomer with billions of streams ends up with a body linked to his Tesla, millions of dollars disappearing overnight, and the entire industry turning its back on him? D4VD's story isn't just about fame, it's about how everything can collapse in the blink of an eye when murder, money, and music all collide. This isn't some scripted Netflix series or TikTok conspiracy. This is real life, and it's darker than any rap lyric you've ever heard. We're talking about D4VD, real name David Anthony Burke, just 20 years old, a kid who went from recording inside his sister's closet on an iPhone to pulling in millions off TikTok anthems. But now, he's drowning in legal smoke, public backlash, and financial ruin all at the exact same time. The headline, D4VD reveals he's going bankrupt after murdering his girlfriend, sounds like cheap tabloid drama, but the timeline, the numbers, and the receipts make it look terrifyingly real. This downfall has everything: a body, a fortune vanishing into thin air, cops raiding his crib, and insiders whispering that the bag is finished. And what's wild is that just a few months back, this man looked untouchable. He was already sitting on a net worth of about $2 million before hitting 21, set to be the face of Gen Z music. It shows you how fast it can flip. One day you're the superstar, the next day you're disposable, the second scandal, and crime creep into the picture. Let's rewind, because you gotta see how high he was before the crash. By early 2025, Burke's net worth sat at around $2 million. That's not old head catalog money. That's lightning in a bottle TikTok success. His breakout hit Romantic Homicide pulled in hundreds of millions of streams, while Here With Me exploded on TikTok edits. Add merch, endorsements with Hollister and Crocs, and a US tour that grossed millions from July through September, and D4VD was eating good. The European leg was supposed to double the bag, and brand deals with Nike and Red Bull were already being whispered about. He was Billboard's golden boy, the kind of artist labels dream of finding in the TikTok era. But on September 8, 2025, that dream shattered. LAPD responded to a complaint from a tow yard in the Hollywood Hills. Staff had been reporting a nasty odor coming from an abandoned Tesla Model 3 that had been sitting there for days. When cops cracked it open, they found something straight out of a crime drama: black plastic bags filled with decomposed remains of a young girl. She was later confirmed as Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a Houston native who had been missing for more than a year. And this wasn't just any car. The Tesla was registered to none other than David Anthony Burke, aka D4VD. In an instant, his name was forever stamped onto this tragedy. LAPD labeled it a homicide investigation, and even though no official charges had been filed yet, just being connected to that discovery was enough to send his empire crumbling. Suddenly, the Romantic Homicide kid was tied to a real-life homicide case. Fans dug up old photos of D4VD with a girl who looked just like Celeste back in 2023 and 2024. Screenshots from alleged Discord chats popped back up, where he supposedly admitted being addicted to gore videos and even talked about helping Celeste run away from home. Even his lyrics got flipped against him. That infamous line from Romantic Homicide, "In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true," suddenly felt chilling, no longer metaphorical. And it didn't stop there. A leaked track called Celeste, recorded in late 2023, started circulating online with lyrics about obsession, tattoos, intimacy, and depression. And fans swore it sounded like a diary of his secret relationship. The public court of opinion wasn't waiting on a trial. They were already convicting him in real time. And then came the money nightmare. Scandals this big don't just destroy reputations, they drain bank accounts dry. In high-profile homicide cases in LA, legal fees can easily start at $100,000 and shoot up into the millions. By September 12th, just 4 days after the Tesla discovery, D4VD had already dropped close to $1 million on lawyers, PR specialists, and forensic experts. For a 20-year-old sitting on $2 million, that was nearly half his fortune gone before an indictment was even filed. If he gets charged and it drags into trial, those costs could double or triple, enough to wipe him out completely before a jury even steps in. But it doesn't stop at criminal defense. Celeste's family has already vowed to pursue civil action, and wrongful death lawsuits can run into the millions. On top of that, whispers of quiet payouts are spreading, talk that other young women could come forward with claims, each potentially costing tens of thousands. Insurance won't cover intentional acts, so if even one lawsuit sticks, the cash comes straight out of his pocket, and then came the death blow to his career: the tour cancellations. His Withered World Tour was supposed to be the lifeline, grossing millions across the US and Europe. But after the Tesla discovery, everything fell apart. On September 18, 2025, D4VD canceled both US arena shows in New York and Los Angeles, scrapped the entire European run, and even pulled the plug on the deluxe version of Withered. His money pipeline dried up overnight, leaving him with lawsuits, legal fees, and no income in sight. That right there was a $1 to $2 million hit straight out the gate, but it didn't stop there. Promoters yanked every ad, venues demanded refunds, and thousands of fans who already paid for tickets had to be reimbursed. Even his merch collapsed, including a bloody shirt design that critics called disturbing and bad taste. What should have been his biggest payday instantly flipped into a mountain of bills. And the brands? Gone in a flash. Hollister dropped him on September 9th. Crocs followed. Kali Uchis scrubbed their collab from her socials by September 19th. By the 18th, Interscope Records froze all promo tied to his name. Spotify slashed him off playlists. Royalties instantly chopped by 70%. The dream deals with Nike and Red Bull, dead before ink ever hit the paper. In less than a month, his entire financial future vanished. The crazy part? Even if he wanted to pause everything, the bills don't pause with him. Getting his Tesla out of impound alone cost over $10,000. Meanwhile, royalties are frozen under investigation. Analysts crunch the numbers. A $2 million net worth burning at $500,000 a month. That's bankruptcy by October. One expert even said, "This isn't speculation, this is math. The math doesn't lie." Sure, best case, if he somehow clears his name by December, maybe he only takes a $1 to $2 million loss and recovers off scandal-fueled streams. But the realistic baseline is brutal. Severe financial collapse inside 9 months. If indicted, costs skyrocket, forcing him to liquidate assets or file bankruptcy by mid-2026. And history proves the pattern. TLC went bankrupt while going platinum. Toni Braxton lost it all twice. MC Hammer went from $30 million to broke. Even 50 Cent had to file Chapter 11 in 2015, despite paper wealth of $155 million. R. Kelly's empire evaporated in lawsuits. Now, D4VD at just 20 is the latest name on that cursed list. The timeline shows how brutally fast the industry turned on him. On September 7th, he was performing to sold-out Chicago crowds. By the 8th, his Tesla was on the news tied to a homicide. By the 11th, brands cut him off. By the 18th, his label froze him out. By the 20th, his fan base was split, half calling him a monster, half saying, "His music saved my life." But when money's on the line, loyalty doesn't matter. Boycotts choke streams, venues blacklist you, sponsors run, and the machine stops dead. So when headlines scream D4VD reveals he's going bankrupt after murdering his girlfriend, it's not exaggeration. The money's drained, brands abandoned him, tours collapsed, lawsuits are waiting, and the burn rate is impossible to survive. From TikTok closet recordings to a $2 million fortune, gone in weeks. And that was just the money side. Now comes the darker half, the murder case itself, the discovery, the victim's connection to him, how the LAPD is moving, and how social media spun this tragedy into a wildfire overnight. Because once the internet heard body found in Tesla, tied to a 20-year-old superstar with lyrics about killing lovers, the trial didn't wait for court. It started online instantly. On September 8, 2025, LAPD was called to a tow yard in the Hollywood Hills after staff complained about a nasty odor coming from a black Tesla Model 3 that had been sitting there for weeks. At first, they thought it was spoiled food, but when police opened the trunk, they discovered black plastic bags stuffed inside, containing the decomposed remains of a young girl. Forensics confirmed the victim as Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a Houston native reported missing more than a year earlier. That discovery alone turned the case into one of the most shocking celebrity-linked investigations in years. And when LAPD ran the plates, seeing the car was registered to David Anthony Burke, aka D4VD, his name shot into global headlines before he could even react. The body was so badly decomposed and partially dismembered that forensics struggled to even confirm her identity at first, relying on dental records and DNA. Once they did, the scandal officially had a name and face. And the rumors surrounding D4VD and Celeste from back in 2023 resurfaced like gasoline on fire. Alleged Discord screenshots showed him confessing a taste for violent content and talking about younger girls. Old photos placed them together at events. Matching tattoos? Fans tied them to his 2023 EP Petals to Thorns. Even his music turned into supposed evidence. Romantic Homicide had that infamous line, "In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it." And fans started saying it wasn't metaphor, it was confession. Then an unreleased track called Celeste leaked, filled with lyrics about obsession, tattoos, and depression. Hernandez's family said her boyfriend's name was David, and the speculation only exploded. The LAPD raided his Hollywood Hills residence on September 18th, confiscating a computer and evidence. Even without charges, the optics are crushing. A missing girl's body in your Tesla, lyrics that read like foreshadowing, tattoos tied to her name, cops raiding your house, enough for the internet to decide guilt instantly. But the wildest part? The autopsy hasn't even given a clear cause of death yet. The remains were so decomposed that toxicology reports are still pending. Some theories say overdose, others say pregnancy cover-up, others scream setup, claiming the body was planted to destroy him. But what's confirmed is LAPD is treating it as homicide. They've been flooded with thousands of tips, and the smoke is too heavy for people to believe innocence. On X, hashtags like hashtag D4VD did it and hashtag justice for Celeste trended worldwide. Threads dissected lyrics, Discord leaks, old pictures, every detail flipped into evidence. Some fans still defended him with posts like, "His music saved my life, I don't believe he could do this." But the majority, already convinced they're watching the fall of a star in real time. Some fans begged for mercy, but others, ruthless, they blasted him as a monster, a predator, a killer hiding behind sad boy lyrics. The fan base split instantly, and once that division hit the timeline, the damage was permanent. No brand, no label, no promoter wants their name anywhere near someone trending for murder and grooming allegations. That's why his financial collapse hit harder than a knockout punch. Because in 2025, once social media decides you're guilty, the money evaporates before the court even takes a breath. Hernandez's family stepped forward, demanding justice, saying they believed she had been groomed. And that shifted the entire story from celebrity scandal to system failure. Suddenly, it wasn't just about D4VD. It was about cops ignoring warning signs, institutions failing a teen, and a tragedy that could have been prevented. That angle fueled the outrage 10 times stronger, and the smoke only got heavier. TikTok breakdowns, Reddit threads, YouTube documentaries, every post, every screenshot of lyrics, every photo of tattoos was dissected like forensic evidence. Old teachers, Discord mods, even distant acquaintances started dropping stories about Celeste meeting him online. Each one piled on the narrative until the internet court had already decided the verdict. The comparisons came quick, and they were ugly. People lined D4VD's name up next to R. Kelly, who built an empire, while accusations of grooming swirled until lawsuits collapsed it all. Others compared him to XXXTentacion, who battled violent charges while climbing SoundCloud to superstardom, splitting fans into two extreme camps. Some even said this looked like Tay-K, who recorded the race while literally on the run for murder. The pattern. Fame doesn't stop streams, but scandals nuke careers, wreck labels, and make bankruptcy inevitable. Now, D4VD is trapped in that same cursed lane. The bottom line is brutal. The homicide investigation, the body in his Tesla, the resurfaced grooming claims, the prophetic lyrics, the tour cancellations, the dead brand deals, the internet outrage. It all fused into one unstoppable storm. Whether he ever faces official charges or not, the damage is permanent. His name is forever tied to Celeste. His lyrics are forever read like confessions. And his money, drying up faster than he can even count it. The LAPD might take months to file an indictment. The autopsy might drag on for weeks, but the court of public opinion already stamped its verdict. Guilty. And once the internet nails that label on you, there's no peeling it off. Now, here's the eerie twist. It isn't just the case details that fans are dissecting. It's the music itself. Because if the internet loves one thing, it's playing detective. And in this scandal, every single lyric has been treated like a diary entry or a clue. It all starts with the breakout hit that put him on the map, Romantic Homicide. Dropped in July 2022, recorded in his sister's closet with just an iPhone and BandLab, it had the moody, cinematic sound Gen Z craved. TikTok ate it alive, breakup edits, crying at 2 a.m. montages, all of it. The track peaked at number 33 on the Billboard Hot 100, cementing his rise. But in 2025, those lyrics don't sound poetic anymore. They sound prophetic. That infamous line, "In the back of my mind, you died, and I didn't even cry." No, not a single tear. In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it, is now plastered across Reddit threads and TikTok breakdowns as if it was a preview of the body cops later found in his Tesla. D4VD always said those bars were about killing emotions, not people, but the internet doesn't care about nuance. Once a narrative sticks, it sticks, and that wasn't the only track twisted into evidence. The unreleased song Celeste, leaked just days after the Tesla discovery, hit social media like gasoline on fire. The lyrics about obsession, tattoos, missing someone so much it feels like depression, and a name like Cell made it impossible for fans not to connect the dots. Whether the track was about Hernandez or even his current girlfriend, who also happens to be named Celeste, didn't matter anymore. The internet decided it was a smoking gun, and once the mob decides, there's no rewinding. Other tracks started getting dragged too. More Than Just Friends, released in early 2024, suddenly looked like foreshadowing, with lines about control, threats, and manipulation. You told me we would never be more than just friends, but I don't really care. I'm gonna put it to an end. I told you keep it 10 or you'll end up dead. What once seemed like edgy songwriting is now being reframed as evidence of grooming and violence. Even his EP Petals to Thorns got pulled apart, with fans pointing to matching tattoos Hernandez allegedly shared with him. And his 2024 album Withered wasn't safe either, the track. Afterlife got dragged into the conspiracy web, its lines about love ending in death spun as yet another confession. Piece by piece, lyric by lyric, fans built their own true crime puzzle, and in their eyes, every song was just another piece of evidence against him. Fans swore his tracks were no longer just songs. They were confessions, diary entries, straight-up prophecies of what went down. Whether those theories hold weight or not, one thing is clear. The scandal flipped his entire discography from sad boy anthems into something darker, something people now call warnings. And this isn't new. We've seen it before. When XXXTentacion was facing domestic violence charges, fans tore through his lyrics about pain and rage like they were confessions. When R. Kelly was accused of grooming, tracks like Age Ain't Nothing But a Number and Seems Like You're Ready went from R&B love songs to evidence exhibits. Tay-K dropped The Race while literally on the run for capital murder. Fans streamed it like it was a soundtrack to his case. That's the irony of music scandals. The streams don't stop. In fact, sometimes they explode. But the meaning behind the music warps into something that destroys the artist's image, even while boosting their numbers. And that's exactly where D4VD stands right now. Romantic Homicide surged in streams after the Tesla discovery. But here's the twist. Those royalties are frozen under LAPD investigation, so the only ones eating off the scandal are the platforms, not him. Before September 8th, Burke was the face of Gen Z artistry, the bedroom superstar who turned gaming montages into billion-stream anthems. He was praised for being vulnerable, cinematic, and seen as the next crossover golden boy. But after September 8th, that dream was torched. Now his name isn't tied to Billboard accolades. It's tied to Celeste Hernandez, LAPD raids, and lyrics people call confessions. His entire catalog stopped being celebrated and started being dissected like courtroom evidence. And history shows what comes next. Artists with millions in the bank have lost it all under scandals and lawsuits. 50 Cent had to file Chapter 11 in 2015 with lawsuits totaling $78 million, even though he was worth $155 million on paper. Legends like Meatloaf, Sly Stone, Willie Nelson all watched fortunes crumble thanks to IRS battles and court fights. The money never outlasts the drama. Once the legal bills stack, civil suits drop, brands bail, and labels freeze checks, even the biggest stars fold. D4VD is just another name in that cycle, except his collapse is moving at hyperspeed. He's only 20, no decades of royalties to keep him afloat, no aging fan base to ignore the smoke. His base is Gen Z, and Gen Z doesn't wait around. They move on fast. That's why projections show bankruptcy looming before the year even ends if nothing changes. And here's the cold truth. It's not just about money anymore. His name, his image, his music, they're all permanently stained. Even if he beats the charges, the shadow doesn't leave. He could drop the hottest single tomorrow, and the comments will still scream killer and predator. Every lyric, every tattoo, every photo, reinterpreted through this scandal's lens. That's why recovery looks impossible. He's not just fighting LAPD, he's fighting the internet, the industry, and history itself. Sure, some hopefuls say maybe he pulls off a Bieber-style redemption, or a Tekashi-style comeback by leaning into infamy. But this ain't the same. Grooming and murder allegations, that's a stain you don't wash off with a hit single. Labels won't gamble it, brands won't touch it, and even loyal fans can't drown out a tidal wave of backlash. His best-case scenario? Beat the charges, disappear into underground music, and scrape together a niche fan base that doesn't care about the past. Worst case? Bankruptcy, prison, and a name forever cemented as one of the darkest cautionary tales in music history. One by one, the pillars of his fast-rising empire collapsed. But the greatest blow wasn't financial. It was cultural. The very community that lifted him to the top is now split. Some clinging to denial, others turning playlists into funeral rites, unable to hear his voice without picturing Celeste's last moments. For her family, the grief is unbearable. Their daughter reduced to tattoos, headlines, and theories. Their pain sharpened the public's anger, especially against his defiant posture in court. The courtroom gave facts, but social media built stories. And the second her body was confirmed, TikTok, Reddit, and Discord turned the case into a wildfire. Theories spread faster than official reports ever could. And the internet had already delivered the only verdict that mattered. Guilty. And with that, this wild story comes to a close. But trust me, it's far from over in the court of public opinion. For more explosive celebrity scandals and deep dives, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the chaos. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think D4VD can ever recover, or is his legacy finished for good?